Hey, welcome. It's Sharon Christie with Bold Women Lawyers, and welcome to the Bold Women Lawyers Spotlight. As you know, if you've been here before, I either interview a great guest, which is what I'm going to do today, or I talk about issues that are pertinent to solo and small law firms and running your business. For those of you that don't know, I am a business strategist and a business coach. But my prior career was as a lawyer for many, many years. And now I work with solo and small law firms doing strategy and coaching to get your businesses up and running in peak performance. We have a great guest today. Ruth-Ann Bowen is here. She is the CEO of ห์𝗲𝗲𝗱. And she's going to talk to us all about websites and all that entails. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Ruth-Ann because she's very impressive. She is a creative and business-minded web designer. She's located in the greater Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. Now, for those of you who are in Maryland, who are Ravens fans, don't hold that against her. I know we feel very strongly about that, but trust me, I've known Ruth-Ann for a while. She's a great person, so don't hold it against her that she's in Pittsburgh. She does work with small businesses and female entrepreneurs to build beautiful, modern, that's really important too, modern websites that accurately represent your brand. She has workshops focused on the power of utilizing branding, social media, and that famous SEO, search engine optimization, for small businesses. We're going to talk about that too. She has spoken at Belmont University, at Grove City College, and Butler County Community College on topics related to blogging and content creation. She's contributed articles to Business News Daily and Best Company on the importance of website design. She is a wealth of information, so I'm thrilled to have her with us today. Welcome, Ruth-Ann.
Oh, thank you. I am so looking forward to our conversation because we've talked about this topic behind the scenes and
Yes.
it's just always fun. So I'm looking forward to diving right in.
Good. All right. So we're going to jump right in because we know you have a fabulous background. And I want to jump right in here because I know that my clients ask lots of questions about websites, or it's just the opposite. They feel like, yeah, I put one up. That's all I need to do. So let me start with the very basic question. You're a lawyer in a solo firm. You're the only lawyer, or a small law firm. Why do you even need to have a website?
I love when people ask me this question. So here's my answer. Nobody is trying to find you by walking or driving down Main Street anymore. When was the last time you drove through downtown looking for something? It's probably been a really long time. So our society is not a walk-by society anymore. It used to be people would walk downtown, they would browse the store windows and be able to find the people who hung their shingle, right? Hung out their shingle. Today, this is where everybody's going to find things, their smartphones. So when they go to their smartphone, they are in the moment. They want to find that restaurant. They want to find that something on Amazon. They want to find that product. They want to find that service. They want to find a psychologist, a lawyer. They want to find a lawyer. What are they doing? They're pulling out their phone and they're searching online. So if you don't have an online presence, you're invisible. Nobody's going to find you. So unless you're a big name law firm that has a huge reputation within your city or within your region, no one's going to find the small mom and pop shop if they don't have some sort of online presence via a website.
Okay, so you get a website, but I hear this from lawyers. You know, I put a website up. It's done nothing for my business. I get no business from it. I'm not even sure why I bother with it.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you get business by using your website?
Well, you have to have a goal for your website. If you're just going to put up a template, customize it a little bit, and try and do your best with it, whatever design skills you have as a lawyer, it's probably not going to do what you want it to do. You have to know what you want it to do. And everything that is designed from a user experience, your branding, all of the elements have to point this person, this visitor, to the one thing that you want them to do. For some people, their goal is to have them book a call. For other people, they want them to fill out a form. Other people want them to book an actual appointment. So depending on what that goal is, that's how you're setting up your website. So if you're not getting the traction or the conversions that you would like to have, then take a look at what your goal is and see if your website matches with the functionality that you need for that goal to be achieved. You need to have contact buttons up in the header so that they show up on every page. You need to have contact buttons at various points throughout the home page, your about page, your services page. You just don't know at what point in the journey that somebody lands on your website that's going to push them to be like, oh, I really want to work with this person. So you have to give them multiple opportunities to do that. That's why when you land on websites, you see so many calls to action, because they're giving you a convenient opportunity to work with that person. So you want to make sure that you have enough of those pointing to the goal that you want them to take.
Okay, so you mentioned the phrase call to action. And so if anybody's not familiar with that phrase, tell us what that means related to your website.
Sure. So a lot of times if you land on an e-commerce site, you're going to see shop now, buy now, click here. For a law firm, it might be book your appointment, call us today. Any type of action that you want your visitor to take, that's called your call to action. So sign up here, click here, download here, all of those are calls to action.
Okay, how about another term people hear a lot is lead magnet?
Yes.
Can you explain what that means, and particularly for a law firm, what would that be?
Sure. So law firms, especially if you're a certain niche, your lead magnet should be directed towards people who are in your niche for your ideal client. So a lead magnet is something like a PDF, an ebook, a free ebook download, or a free chapter of a book download. Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe it's the top 10 questions to ask a lawyer when you're looking. Something that your visitor would find as high value that they will give you their email address for in order to get the exchange for that lead magnet, that high value lead magnet.
Okay, and what's the value then of getting their email address?
So the way I describe email addresses today is it is your digital gold currency. Because when you think about it, people's email inboxes get inundated. So if they are interested enough to get the information from you that you have and they give you their email address, that's golden. Because the whole point is to grow your email database, because you're going to nurture that lead that you get from that lead magnet. So every time somebody downloads that lead magnet, that email address is going into your contact database, where you can send email campaigns once a week, twice a month, however often you want. But that's your mode of communicating with these people who have a higher interest in working with you because they've given you their email address, as opposed to somebody who's just clicking like on social media, right?
Okay.
We can click like, we can go through our scroll and be like, oh yeah, that's nice. Oh yeah, that's nice. But if I'm going to give you my email address, I'm saying, okay, I want to hear a little more from you. And as soon as you have a person who says, I want to learn a little more from you, you need to make sure you're nurturing that lead as best you can. Communicate.
And I think one of the other important things is when they, click to download whatever you've offered that's of value to them, there's information there that says, by clicking on here, you're agreeing to receive additional information from blah, blah, blah,
Correct.
law firm, and you can unsubscribe at any time, so that it's clear that you're going to get this PDF or this ebook or, what checklist, whatever it might be, but you're going to get other stuff from me too.
Mhm.
And because I think sometimes, lawyers tell me, no, I'm really afraid like I'll be spammy and, they'll get upset because I'm sending them stuff, but they give you permission to do that, right?
Mhm.
By
Right.
virtue of downloading what it is you have to offer.
Yes. And if you're afraid, or if you have a concern that people are going to think that, it's a best practice to actually, on your website, in this section where you're collecting the email address, just give them a heads up as to how often you're going to communicate with them.
Mhm.
Sign up here, get this free download. We'll send you some high ticket value information. I mean, you don't have to use that phrase, but you
Right.
know what I'm saying. Once a
Right.
month. Once a month, you'll hear from us. Or you agree to accept our monthly newsletter, or something like that. So that way they know, oh, she's only going to send me something once a month. That's cool. I can deal with that. You know what I mean?
And the beauty of it is that this is somebody who's obviously got an interest in whatever your area of law is to begin with. And now your name keeps popping up to them,
Correct.
right? At least once a month, because frequently, I know this was my experience as a lawyer when I was in practice, people wanted information, not because they were ready in many instances to hire a lawyer right then and there, but they could see it was coming. They
Correct.
wanted the information. And
Mhm.
so by being able to continue to contact them, having their permission to do it, my name kept popping up. And when they were ready, then I was the person that they would call. So that's really the beauty of it.
Yeah,
At
it's
least
all
in
about staying
part.
top of
Yeah.
mind, for sure,
Ex-
and that visibility, that's what's so important. The more visible you are, the more recognizable you are, the more trust that you're building with your ideal client, the better.
So here I'm a lawyer, and let's say I'm a divorce lawyer,
Mhm.
and I've opened my own law firm, and I've got my website up, and maybe I've got a checklist of, things you want to think about, I don't know, before you get divorced,
Right.
something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. So I was like, yeah, I better think about that. So how do I get from, somebody like that and wanted to have a copy of it, to this person's going to become a client, other people become clients, this website will help me grow my business? Is it just through the email marketing, or are there other things that a website can do for you?
There is a ton that a website can do for you. And depending on what your business is, you can actually create revenue streams right from your website. So
Mhm.
let's say I'm a lawyer and I have my lead magnet, which is free, but maybe I also have written a book, or I do speaking engagements, or I'm running webinars, paid webinars. There are multiple opportunities for you to create a revenue stream using your website. Now, let's think about that for just a second. Let's just say you're going to run a paid webinar or a paid masterclass on how to navigate the legal system when going through a divorce. And let's say you're charging, it's a low ticket thing, $27 or whatever.
Right.
You can set that up so that people are going to your website to sign up and pay all in one stroke.
Mhm.
So that's the beauty of having a website that can handle all of those types of functionality for you, because you're going out and you're promoting this webinar through your email address, your contact database where you collected all your email addresses.
Mhm.
And then they come back to your website. So that's driving traffic, and they're purchasing your webinar or your masterclass or your course or whatever it is that you're doing. So you have this flow of driving that traffic to your website in order to make more money. That's the whole purpose, right?
It is. And for those lawyers who are thinking, "Oh no, wait a minute, I can't give legal advice." just so it's clear, we're not talking about giving legal advice to a person in their specific case. We're talking about things like, what are the steps that I can expect in a typical divorce? You know, what are the phases? Does it always have to go to court? What are the other options that I might pursue? That kind of thing. So it's general. What I tell my clients is, you know, it is the general information of questions that you're answering day in and day out that you've put together in a form that people can use in a book, in a seminar, in a webinar, you know, whatever you like to do. But it's not legal advice. In case anybody's wondering, it's not. It is basic information about what they can expect once they start, you know, their divorce proceedings, or what you can expect if you need a new will and you need a trust set up. What are the steps? So that's very helpful information to people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things you and I have talked about, and I know we've touched on it, but I want to ask you about it in a little more detail, is, you know, what you call functionality of your website and how important that is. So can you explain what that means, and, you know, how does it affect the success of your website?
Yeah, functionality is an extremely important part of the whole web design process. So here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to just pick up a template, customize it, like I was saying, and DIY it, throw it up there and see if it sticks. You have to, like I said earlier, you have to understand what that goal is for your website. So your functionality includes everything from the menu and the tabs, the page titles that you're putting in your tabs, your call to action buttons, like we were talking about earlier, whether or not you're going to put an email subscribe ability on there, if you're going to put on a contact form, and is it just a generic contact form, or are you trying to gather more information to vet these people before you start having a phone call with them? So maybe your form is a little more in depth. You want to keep it simple. But if there are 2 or 3 questions that, you know, if you get a certain answer, they are good for you or they're not good for you, you can have a form with that information on there too. The flow is very, very important. So starting from the top of the page to the bottom is all of the thought process for this person that's coming to your website. Is it making sense for them? You don't want to be jumping around from one thing to another. You want to make sure that when they're reading through, that flow is seamless. And the things that the other part of the other side of this equation, and it's not so much functionality, so I'm diverting a little bit from the functionality question.
It's okay.
But it's very important. What are the pain points that your ideal client is experiencing? And address those head on. And you need to know your ideal client so well that when they come to your website, they think you're in their head. That's why you need to know and listen to your ideal clients. What are they asking you? What is the verbiage that they're using? And you know what? It may not be legalese corporate verbiage that they're using, but it relates to what their issue is and how they're explaining it. So you need to listen very closely to what they're saying and how they're saying it, and address those pain points way up front. That's what I'm talking about with flow. You want to address those pain points up front, because why are we doing that? Your services are the solutions. If you think about it, when you put your law practice together, why are you even in existence? Because people have some serious pain points that they don't know, don't understand, and cannot navigate, but you do. So when you're addressing those pain points head on, and then in the very next section, you're like, well, isn't it something we provide services for blah, 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 blah. Now, all of a sudden, they're like, okay, you used language, and now I know that you're in my head and you get me. That's the whole point. You want people to know that you get them. So now you've got them. Now you bring them to the next phase, which says, hey, guess what? We have the solution. It's like going to a doctor, right? When you go to a doctor, you're wanting him to diagnose what on earth is going wrong. You know, what is wrong with me? Do I have a cold? Do I have COVID? Do I have the flu? Like, I'm
Mhm.
so confused. So we go to the professional, we go to the expert, and he diagnoses what our pain and our issue is. And then what does he do? He gives us the prescription to get better, hopefully. Gives us the prescription. So your services are the prescription for your ideal client to make their life easier and better. That's what your website is all about. And
That is such a great point because, like you said, if it's full of like legal terms,
Mhm.
unless your ideal client happens to be a lawyer,
Correct.
which for most lawyers, that's not your ideal client. People aren't going to understand what in the world you're talking about. And I would assume they just click off and go somewhere else.
Right.
But if you're using the wording that you hear from your existing clients when they describe the problem they have to you, I was a disability lawyer and I paid very close attention to how did they describe their problem? How did they describe their fears?
Mhm.
Everybody was afraid of, I won't get approved. I have no income. I'll lose my house, and on and on. And we were able to incorporate that into what we said on the website because we knew this is what people were thinking.
Correct.
And when you do that, you'll start to get calls from people and they'll say, I went to your website and it was like you were talking directly to me because
Correct.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes.
But that's huge because so frequently, law firm websites are just written in terms of legal stuff
Mhm.
that the average layperson will never understand, nor do they need to understand it. They need it broken down into layperson's terms,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. Because that's why they're hiring you, because you know that stuff. They don't.
Exactly. And they don't want to know it, and they don't
Right.
need to know it. They
Right.
don't need
Right.
to know the technical legal term, for the motion you're going to file. They don't
Right.
need that. They
Yeah.
need to know, like you said, here's my issue. Can you help me? And how is working with you going to help me solve all of these other problems I have over here?
Correct. Yeah, you
Yeah.
hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
it.
but you can do that, right? Right through the website.
Yes.
If okay, so here's the next thing that comes up a lot. So I put up the website, yay, and I never touch it again. It's just there.
Yeah.
Is that a good plan for your
That is
website?
not a good
Yeah,
plan.
right.
That's what we call a very stale website. And you have to remember that people today are a lot more website and computer and online savvy than they were even 5 years ago. So when
Yes.
they land on a website that hasn't been touched in a while, they can tell. People can tell, right? Especially if you have not changed the copyright date down at the bottom and it still says 2016, like a website I went on the other day. I'm like, seriously? So you haven't updated your info? Because psychologically, I'm now thinking they haven't touched this site since 2016. So is any of this relevant? Right?
Oh, that's a
So
great point.
yeah.
Yeah.
So make sure your copyright date is updated. At least if you take anything away from this, let it be that. Very simple.
So how often, you talk about the website is stale. How often should it be updated?
So it really depends. If you're a small law office and you don't have a ton of changes and there's not a lot of people coming in and out from, a bio perspective or a picture perspective or whatever, I would say go in there at least once a month and put a blog post up. That's the
Oh,
best
okay.
way to keep
Mhm.
traction on your website because Google is watching like Big Brother. They are
Yes.
watching every bit of traffic that comes to your website.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more traffic you get, the more hits that you get. Just think of them as little votes, right? That's somebody that's voting for your website in the big Google online world. And Google's kept tallying all these votes, all these hits, so that when it comes time for them to rank you for a query, it keeps track of all that in its big computer mind. And when someone types in a query, let's say they're typing in best divorce lawyer near me, and you happen to live in the Pittsburgh area, you have a Google map on your website, you have a Google My Business account set up, and you have a blog post that says how to find the best divorce lawyer near me in Pittsburgh. You have a better chance of ranking higher for that because you have all of those pieces in place. So, and not only that, but that blog post is, guess what? Something that you can send to your email list to all the people who signed up for your freebie. This is how it all works in together as the puzzle. So using those blog posts once a month is, if that's all you can do, that's totally fine. Totally fine. But what it's doing is it's giving fresh new content to Google to read. And the more content it has to read and know and understand your website, the higher it ends up ranking you when someone's searching for you.
Exactly.
Now, I did not say guaranteed to page 1. We're all lawyers. For all you lawyers out there that are watching, I am not guaranteeing.
Did not say that. No.
Not guaranteeing you're getting to page 1. Notice I said it will rank you higher.
Exactly.
Exactly. This is an organic approach.
So here's another thing I want to address. You mentioned fresh new content. And so a lot of lawyers, I'm sure, are going, I have got so much work to do. How am I going to have time to do this? You don't have to do it yourself, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
You don't. You can hire it out. You can delegate. There are a lot of people out there who do blog posts. Or if you want to, you can hop on a AI writing software called 𝗪𝗏. Used to be called Jasper. Or is it the other way around? No, I think it's 𝗪𝗏 now. This writing program is amazing and will save you so much time. You literally could take half an hour and have a blog post written because it writes it for you. So you can put in your topic, the tone of voice you want to use, and what it does is it trolls the entire internet and it composes for you, and you can literally watch it, write it on the screen. It composes for you a blog post, a social media caption, website copy for you that is completely custom. So let's use that divorce lawyer again, right? How to find we could put in there the 5 top things that a divorce lawyer, you need to look for in a divorce lawyer, right? Stick that in. Put what tone of voice you want, professional, casual, witty, whatever the branding is that your tone is, you can put that in there. You can say, I want it short, medium, or long. So let's go medium. It's going to go through its whole algorithm process and spit out for you 3 paragraphs or however many paragraphs of a blog post. Done. It's done for you.
Great. That's great. Yeah. And then, because we're lawyers and we like to be in control, it's written. Now you can go back and tweak. But you've got it there, and now you can massage it the way you like it. And of course, you can hire people to get this stuff posted for you. Because I know I was like, I can write stuff, but I don't know how to put this stuff up. So you can outsource that, no problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, now here's something we're not going to have much time to get into, but I'm going to have you come back because because I do want to talk about what we hear about all the time with websites, which is SEO, search engine optimization. I told you before, to me, it's like hocus pocus. I'm not dumb, but I can't get my head wrapped around it and how it works. So I'm just going to ask you right now, can you just give a generalized description? Because I do want to have you come back to talk about the details of it. But what does it even mean?
Yeah. So search engine optimization. Let me just quickly go through the process of what that actually is.
Okay, great.
So again, using our divorce lawyer as the example, let's say I'm looking for a divorce lawyer. I pick up my phone and I type in best divorce lawyer near me. And my location is set up so Google knows where I am. And it starts to go through all of the websites that it has indexed for those keywords, and then it pulls up what they believe are the closest and best match for that query. So
Okay.
your website needs to be optimized with those keywords and keyword phrases so that you show up when somebody's putting in that query. So it's basically, you know, when you go fishing and you have bait.
Yes, sure.
Okay, your website is the bait, and you want the fishing hook to find you, right? So
Yes.
you're putting
Yes.
your, oh, actually, no, it's backwards. I have to think this one through, but it's like fishing and bait, and the fish comes and grabs
Okay.
the bait, right? Oh, so Google is the fish and your website is the bait.
Is the bait. Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
So
Okay.
your website needs to have a ton of worms on there with SEO optimization so that when Google's coming, it sees, oh, that's the one I want, and it grabs it, and now
Yeah.
it's going to pull you up and rank you higher for the query that that person has put in.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we're going to have you come back to talk about how do you improve your rankings.
Oh yeah,
with
there's
that.
all different ways on your website, different areas that you can use to optimize, and discovering what your keywords are. That's very, very important too.
Ah,
So I
okay.
actually wrote a book. It's called Create Your Own Website in a Weekend. And I go through everything that we just talked about, how to discover your audience, how to define your content. We go into all about the content, the SEO, how to dominate your SEO. And it's a very short book. It's only 64 pages, but it takes you through everything that you need to know. If you're DIYing your website, it checks off all the boxes of the things that you need to make sure you have covered when it comes to doing your own website.
And so how, if somebody's listening, wants to get it, where can they find it?
At 𝗪𝗏𝗄𝗃.com. So
Okay.
it's 𝗪𝗏𝗃.com.
All right,
And
I'm
when
gonna
you
put that
scroll
up on the
down
screen.
to about the middle of the page, middle of the home page, you'll see the book.
All right. And of course we got the www in
Yeah.
front.
And
Yeah,
it's
of
only
course.
$7, so it's not like it's gonna break the bank. But that
There we go.
$7 investment could be, if think about that. If you spend $7 on my book, but you
Exactly.
get one client because you optimized your site the way it should, that's a no-brainer investment.
Absolutely. So, and this is your website, right? So if somebody wanted to contact you and talk more about updating their website, et cetera, is that how they do it?
Yep, absolutely. Just go to 𝗪𝗏𝗃.com. You'll see right up at the top, I have a free consultation call to action button that
There
will
you
take
go.
you where you can book a free call with me.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, listen, Ruth Ann, this has been wonderful. I'm going to, like I said, I want to have you come back. We're going to talk all about SEO. But this has been great. This has been great information about websites and what you need to make it actually functional and help you grow your business. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Ooh, thank you for
It's
having me.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And for everybody who's listening, if you want to get in touch with Ruth Ann, it's wixdesignher.com, and go get her book. And make sure, please, that you're following me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So it's 𝗪𝗏𝗃 and Bold Women Lawyers. Put that in the search bar, and you'll be able to follow me. So this has been great. And I look forward to talking to everybody again next week and covering another topic. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.